Hey there, it's David Cinelli here, a Realtor with Royal LePage Signature. Today's real estate educational topic is, how do I know if I should rent or if I should buy? This question has been asked for generations, and I'm probably guessing if you ask your parents, they either lie on either one side or another side of the spectrum. And because they're your parents, chances are you will follow along with their ideology. But is that the correct way of looking at whether you should rent or buy based on what your parents believe is the right idea? However, I am going to present to you that there is actually merits to both sides of the argument. Sometimes it is better for you to rent, and other times it is better for you to buy. Many times, possible buyers will rent because they're either working on their credit scores, B, they may be working on their down payment, or C, they may not have a stable job and are looking for permanent employment. These are all factors that come into the fact of whether or not you qualify for a mortgage. If those factors are all satisfied, there are other variables that should indicate to you whether you should rent or buy. Number one, are you expecting to move regularly? Does your employment take you across different provinces, states, countries, etc., and every single time your job changes, your employment also expects you to move? Well, then it's probably not a good idea for you to purchase, because there are a lot of hidden costs with the purchase which you won't be able to recoup. Number two, if you want stability. If you aren't moving around a lot of places and you want a place to call your home, then it's probably a good idea for you to purchase. Not to mention, when you own your own space, you can, redecorate, renovate to your own tastes. You don't have to call a landlord, you don't have to ask permission, etc. So if you are planning to stay long term, then maybe purchasing is a better option for you. And the third option is when renting is cheaper than purchasing. There are a couple of rules of thumb when determining whether it makes more sense for you to rent versus buy. One of them is the 5% rule. The 5% rule, what it says is, if you take a purchase price of a property and you multiply it by 5%, then you divide it by 12, you can see what your monthly cost would be, and then you compare that to your rent. If your rent amount is cheaper than that purchase price of the 5%, then it makes sense to continue renting. If your rent is more expensive, then the option to buy is your best option. What this 5% represents is the unrecoverable cost that you would incur in a yearly basis. The second method is to try to calculate the actual unrecoverable cost for the year and determine whether it is cheaper to rent or buy. So what are these unrecoverable costs? Well, there's property taxes, there's maintenance of the home or the property, and finally there is the cost of borrowing, which usually be like either your mortgage costs or your line of credit, etc. All of these are unrecoverable. Taking these estimated actual costs and running the same scenario you did for the 5% rule, you will see whether it's cheaper to rent or to buy. Bottom line is, there is no superior option when it comes to renting or buying. You have to take your own personal situation and then run the scenarios for yourself. Even a fully paid off home has some opportunity costs, because again, you do have to pay those unrecoverable costs each and every year. Those amount of money that you're spending for those unrecoverable costs could potentially be used to, say, put into the stock market and make you money someplace else. Renting may give you more flexibility when it comes to other investment types, and you may also be more responsive to any other potential career opportunities or other investing opportunities that enter. However, you will miss out in any increases in the housing market. If you're confused on which side of the fence you may be leaning towards, it's okay. A lot of people still are. So it's always a good idea to either speak to a financial advisor, a mortgage broker, and maybe a realtor as well. This will help you give you more clarity to your own situation. If you happen to want my help and maybe I can help navigate you through this whole situation, you can always call or text me at 416-876-9998 or email me at dcinelli@royallepage.ca. Have a great day. Bye.